A trend we have been seeing in the political landscape of many Western societies is that conservative and right-wing candidates participate in elections on a platform of stopping immigration, or at least restricting immigration compared to left-wing parties, but then, after they get elected, we see that there is no meaningful decrease in immigration, and in some cases, immigration actually increases, which has been the case for the Conservative Party in the UK, which has been seeing record amounts of immigration compared to any leftist government of the past. Even some of the more apparently radical right-wing candidates who relied heavily on the immigration rhetoric seem to soften their positions on immigration after getting into office. And this is apparently the case with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. So what is the reason for this? Could it be that these conservatives are merely crypto-liberals who have fooled the conservative voter base with empty promises and are now simply showing their true faces after getting into power? Certainly that could be an explanation. And many so-called conservatives have shown themselves to be not that different, ideologically speaking, from their left-wing rivals. Again, the British Conservative Party is a prime example of this, as they have shown themselves to be following the same principles held by the Labour Party, but sometimes with a little less zeal. But aside from this, what could be the explanation for the fact that conservative parties keep disappointing their voter base on immigration? Because as we have seen, the failure of these parties to curb immigration is not only costing them votes from their traditional voters, but is also leading to a huge influx of people who almost invariably vote for the rivals of conservative parties. So there must be another reason for this, other than them being ideologically pro-immigration. And that reason is that they don't see any realistic alternatives in front of them. Ever since the sexual revolution of the 60s, birth rates among Western nations have been continually falling, and almost none of these nations have birth rates that is above replacement level. And that's despite the fact that the birth rates of these countries are being bolstered by high birth rates among immigrants, which means that if we were to look at the birth rates of the native populations, they would have rates comparable to that of Japan and South Korea. Such a small birth rate is low enough to lead to a reverse population pyramid, and this means ever-increasing social and economic problems. It would be anything but a graceful shrinking of the nation's population. As the number of older people increase and the number of working-age younger people decrease, there will be more and more people taking from the economy and less people giving into the economy. Not only would the wealth of the nation fall, but gradually the nation would be unable to provide many of the services and functions that it used to provide. And the final stage of this would be complete civilizational collapse. So Western governments want to prevent this reverse population pyramid at all costs. And this means that they have two options in front of them. One is to reverse the social and sexual changes made to their societies in the past 60 years, and the other is to bring in immigrants. So why don't they choose the first option? The simple answer is that their current ideology no longer allows it. When we look at the history of the main conservative parties in the West in the past 60 years, we have seen that they have all accepted the social changes brought forward by liberals, albeit with a 5 to 10 year delay. The way this happened was that liberals bring forward a new lifestyle change, and the conservatives would resist it at first. But after a few years, once this change has become mainstream because of the media, they back down on their previous positions in fears of losing votes. This is how we saw Western conservative parties gradually accept all of the left's social innovations in the past 60 years, such as LGBT rights, divorce, the abandoning of gender roles, the liberalization of sexuality in media, sex out of marriage, and other liberal changes. Even abortion has been accepted by these conservative parties, except for in the United States. And these new conservative parties have not only accepted these new ideas, but have actually ingrained them as part of their ideology, to the point where we have seen them actively supporting foreign military intervention in the name of defending feminism and LGBT rights. This can also be seen in the personal lives of these supposed conservative leaders. Giorgia Meloni had a child out of wedlock with a boyfriend she never married. Boris Johnson also had multiple extramarital affairs and children out of wedlock. Liz Truss cheated on her husband with another Conservative MP. And of course we have Donald Trump, whose dalliances are well known. That is why they cannot adopt an actual traditionalist social policy, because first of all, they don't actually believe in it. And even if they did want to implement such policies, the backlash from a liberal-controlled mainstream media would be so severe that it would be almost guaranteed that they would be voted out of power. Because of all these factors, mass immigration appears to be the more acceptable option to these so-called conservatives. And that is despite the fact that many studies have shown that immigrants are not as economically productive to the point to make up for the loss of the native population. But still, they keep bringing in immigrants, hoping that this might change. Leave a comment and let us know what you think. Share this video if you liked it, and thank you all for watching. Goodbye.